Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a woodpecker. I'm going to be doing some bokeh effect in the background and show you how to do this wood grain on the tree and, of course, feathers for our bird. So yeah, let's get started. All right, this should be a fun one. I've already pre-drawn out our bird here. I've got my husband Mark with me. He's me in a chat.
Hey there, everybody.
And I have used a water-soluble pencil for this to draw it out. I might make the head a little bit bigger still. I feel like he might be a little on the small side. Who knows? I'm using a 9 by 12 inch canvas, and I have painted it with a very light coat of yellow oxide that I've just wiped on with a towel and then, wiped clear it and dried. So that's what that yellow in the background is. For our brushes, we're going to want a large brush for our background, and then for the bokeh effect, you're going to want kind of a scruffy brush of some sort. These are the Deerfoot here in the round kind of looking brush here, and then this one is the blender. I started to say Willow's blender. It is just blender anymore. It came out blah blah. So, or you can call it that. Either one will do. Angular shader, 3/8 inch, and then for our beak and eyes, you're going to want a small round. So I've got a 1 round and a 2/0 round here in the 6100 series. These ones are Velvet Touch and the red handle. These are all Princeton brushes. And then I've also got some aspen brushes for some of the feathers detailed and some of the wood detail on here, because these are a little bit stiffer bristled and will give us some texture. Okay, let's get going here. Let's go over our colors. Got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, India yellow, cadmium yellow light, phthalo green yellow shade, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, Quinacridone Magenta. This one is cadmium red light, unbleached titanium, titanium white, and this one is zinc white here for some of the bokeh translucent white, but if you don't have that, just use regular white. And this one is glazing liquid, so some sort of medium to help, because we're going to thin down the paint over here when we do our little bokeh, and it'll help it stick better. All right, so first thing I want to do is just kind of block in our dark wood area and some of our background here where our bokeh is going to go. So let's go do the bokeh first so that it can dry while we're doing the wood, and then we'll come back to it. So for our background, I'm going to start with some of the ultramarine blue and phthalo green, and then get some burnt umber. Just a little bit of burnt umber, and what that'll do is darken that green up and make it less saturated. And I might get a little bit of yellow oxide too. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to kind of look at my picture here and just sort of do these colors, or this green, sort of not all over, because I'm going to have that white that's coming in places. So just going to dust it. I want it nice and dark kind of in this area underneath the bird. And then around its face, it's actually pretty light. Let me get some white here. Mix that in with my green. And up here, I think I'll do kind of a light gray green here. Now I've got a line coming down the edge of that wood. All right, that looks good. So we do want some color back behind where our, green bits are going to go. So I'm going to lighten it up a little bit with this white and make it a little bit lighter green in some of these areas. What were you going to say?
Your art family wants to know, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better versus last week. Last week I could not breathe through my nose at all. It was bad. Yeah, caught a cold. I always seem to pick up whatever anybody, is carrying, so that's just par for the course. I work from home. I'm not around people, and when I am, I catch whatever they have. So it's just like, that's how it goes. So we went to Phoenix to visit family, and one of our family members was sick, and I caught it. Started feeling yuck on the way back from the plane. Mark was like, "No, it's probably just the plane." And I'm like, "Okay." No, it wasn't.
No. I was
Unfortunately.
trying to fight it off with positive thoughts, but didn't work.
Exactly.
Oh, for like 9 million.
You're not sick. You're all right.
Fine.
They're fine. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it, and you won't catch it.
Exactly.
It's okay.
As soon as I thought you were sick, that's when I had some gin on the airplane. Okay. Well, take some medicine now.
Well, I can. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so that'll do there, and then right up by the bird, I think I'll get a little bit more white. So I just kind of use that lighter green around to the other areas, and then I'll use this lightest green right up next to the beak and around the head there. Okay, so we'll just let that dry. I'm trying to kind of blend out those edges as much as I can, just so that I don't have to worry about having any hard edges to blend out later, but that should do for what I need. And then let's clean that out. We'll do the wood of our tree. I think I need to bring my green in a little bit more here too, now that I'm seeing. Just right down here. Yeah, okay. Nope, so thank you. I'm feeling much better. Appreciate it. I hate when I have to miss, but it's the joy of live streaming, so it's kind of, I can't do it if I can't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just had fever for like 5 days. Just nothing major, just fever and a runny nose. So didn't feel all that terrible, but just tired. Starting to feel more like myself today. Thankfully. All right, getting some black and some burnt umber here. And maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. Burnt umber and ultramarine blue kind of make a gray, dark gray. So I'm gonna probably paint over his leg there. I don't think I'm gonna worry about his leg too much, but there's like a dark crack right there in the wood. And then another one kind of where he's attached. And then sort of around it, I'm just going to do this up and down motion here. Kind of fill in the wood, but allow some of that texture to be created so that we're kind of getting a head start on our wood grain. I think wood is honestly one of the easiest things to paint. It's very, very fun and pretty easy to capture. It kind of has a lot of that, a lot of texture, and get that green going in the right direction. It's fairly easy to mimic, It just makes it fun to paint.
Let the paint do the work.
Right, yeah. So just kind of letting that paint run out of my brush and create streaks, leaving some of it a little bit lighter and some of it darker. But I want kind of that darkest area right here, and then another crack right in through here, and then another one kind of coming up right here.
Should we do a contest for the best pileated woodpecker bird call?
Nice. How would, oh, between you and I?
Yeah. Contest.
I'm trying to remember what they sound like.
I know we have them at the feeder like all the time, but I can't remember.
Right. I can't really think.
We did not come prepared tonight.
We did not.
Okay, let's pause the show. Let's go out there and listen.
Go out and listen.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some ultramarine blue here, some of my white. I'm just going to kind of use it along this edge here to kind of create that edge of the bark. And start to just kind of letting that edge of the brush sort of create texture and catch. And that brown that I just put is pretty dry already. It already kind of dried pretty quickly. So I'm just
Every once in a while,
almost laying it flat. What?
while you're trying to teach painting, I'll just throw in some useless information.
Okay.
Like every once in a while, we'll have one of those hang on our gutters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Tap, because it just echoes so
Oh,
loud.
my gosh. Yes.
It's like
They're metal.
It's like we're under attack.
I know. I'm always worried that they're trying to drill through it, but I think they're just using it to make noises,
Yeah.
to
I don't know
signal
if
each other.
Yeah, if they're signaling or what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, babe, got some suit over here.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast they
Yeah,
can do
it's-
that.
It's really fun when they do it first thing in the morning, right by the window,
Good morning.
bedroom.
Were you trying to sleep?
Yeah, we get these guys. These are called red-bellied, which I don't understand because they don't have a red belly at all. It's on their head. The red's on their head. A red head, you would think, but no, it's red-bellied. So I'm not really sure who was in charge of naming it that day, but
Could have been some moonshine
Did-
involved.
check their anatomy. So funny. Okay, so there we go. We gotta
probably
go
the
start.
guy.
What?
It was probably the guy that named it.
Yeah,
Just saying.
that's probably a good bet.
It's close enough.
All right, I'm gonna get some unbleached titanium now, and my palette knife. I'm gonna see about doing some of this with my palette knife. We'll just see how it works. I'm not really sure how it's gonna look, but some of this wood bark I think we might be able to get with the palette knife. So I'm gonna kind of flatten it out on the bottom of my palette knife here, and then just kind of run it down. Yeah, that works. Yeah, it's kind of creating that texture there. And what we can do is glaze over this and darken it up if we need to, if it looks too light in places or whatever. But this will just give us some extra little bits of texture that would be difficult to get with the brush. Just kind of trying to hit the lightest parts of this tree. And I'm going over the top of where I did that gray, so it's kind of mixing in with that gray. Get a little bit more of that ultramarine blue and burnt umber mixed in there. can use the edge of the palette knife to do some kind of lines, or I can kind of scrape it to this side even a little bit if I want to do like that. This is not a fancy palette knife, just kind of my regular sort of rounded palette knife that just about everybody has. You can use a plastic one if you don't have a fancy metal one like this, but okay, I like it. Getting some interesting textures here. Again, this will kind of like make all of it sort of the same, you know, color. So what we'll have to do is go back over it and glaze it once this is dry. We'll just let it dry really well, and then we can, and putting this on first because it's going to take it a minute. Some of these places are going to be thicker than others with paint. So while it dries, we can do other stuff and then come back and glaze over some of this and get it looking good. Scraping it up, and again, kind of trying to get that vertical lines going. Okay, that's a good start there. We'll go ahead and clean that out. And again, we'll just let that dry. All right, I think we're good. Just looking at my picture, making sure I don't need to do anything else with the background or the bird, but I think we're good. This is dry now, so let's go ahead and start on our bokeh effect. That's that circular kind of blurry effect that we're seeing in the background there. And I'm just going to kind of work from dark to light here, so kind of work my farthest back edges and then build up from there. So I'll start with my dark green. I'll make some more of that dark green color, the ultramarine blue and phthalo green, and burnt umber, some yellow, yellow oxide. Ooh, got some wind going on out there.
Yeah, the bushes blowing to the window.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think I'm gonna just go in here for second layer here. And some of that. And what we could do, I might do, when we get right up against this, and need to make sure that this is dry, but I'll maybe put a little bit of tape down. We'll see. Probably up here I'll need it. But we'll see how good we get. All right, I'm going to get some white and a little bit more of that yellow, maybe even a little bit of yellow, India yellow. So I've got kind of a yellowish gray green here, a little bit of a white to it. Might even get a little bit of the burnt sienna. Yeah, okay. I'm going to just do a few little circles at first, like right up against that gray or that green, that darkish green there. Okay. We'll do some up here too. Right, that looks good. Now I'm using the Deerfoot Stippler because it's nice and scruffy, so I can kind of really abuse it and it won't hurt the brush any. If you've got a softer bristle brush, you might need to be a little bit less forceful. We're getting some yellow, India yellow, yellow oxide, and some of that green that had the white in the, that dark green plus the white there that I had before. All right, so I'm going to go kind of just a little bit closer to my white area now and just do some circles with this. Right. Then I'm going to get some more of my white. Mix that in. So each time I'm going to go a little bit more opaque. Wipe most of it out each time before you go in, because you don't want a full thick coverage of paint. That's where it'll look funny if you have too much paint on your brush. You're just going to end up laying down way too much paint. You want soft layers that are overlapped.
Soft layers is always nice.
Mm-hmm. What does that even mean? It's so creepy. It's like the creepiest. Okay, save your comments, creepy guy. I like soft layers. Oh my gosh, that was funny.
That's good. Hey.
Oh gosh.
Man, all of a sudden our view count went up. we may be on something
What
here.
am I talking about? Oh, I swear. That's funny. All right, so one thing I do have to watch for is that it's going to start lifting. So I need to let these layers underneath dry as I do this. I can't get too many layers on at once. So just have to kind of slowly build these up and let them dry in between.
We do have a question though.
Okay.
Somebody would like to know, what can they use for the bokeh effect if they don't have a stippler?
Well, they have those little foam circular. What is that?
It's a pouncer.
You got some songs or music playing or something. I can hear music coming.
I don't have it.
There's music playing.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yep.
That's not funny.
Nope. All right, one of these things. Okay, get the idea. Or if you have a blender, you could use that. And if you don't have either of those, then you could probably use a, get yourself an inexpensive hog bristle brush. You know, there's like really cheap, like, I don't have one handy here, but yellow, you know, they look like this, but they're this material like that, you know, but they have round ones and things, so you could use something like that too. So, all right, well, hopefully that wasn't playing through the whole first part of the show in the background.
I have no idea where it's coming from because there's nothing. It's coming from a computer, but there's no program that's open that's doing it.
Okay, it would be the music program we were playing earlier.
Right, but it's not
Okay.
playing. It's
Okay. All right, getting some white here with my green. Got kind of a weird thing there, so just trying to. The idea too is like to layer them in a way that they're not. It's kind of everything is very soft. There's not a obvious, really hard edge to any of these. So I want to make sure I'm going in and softening off all the edges. Okay. Probably didn't need that one down there. Can I have the reference photo up?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. All right, so I brought that down a little bit farther than I wanted it. There we go, a little softer. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Let me get a little bit of that lighter blue. I'm going to get some Cobalt Teal and Ultramarine Blue here and do a couple down here with the blue. Again, overlapping and making sure my edges are nice and fuzzy. And I'm kind of trying to make sure that the centers are even, so kind of not having too much of a uneven look here. I can get a little bit of glaze, a little bit of my zinc white, and I'm going to overlap these two. And where they touch here, this part might be a little bit brighter.
Somebody also wants to know if a
Yeah, there we go.
stencil synthetic brush could work.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Anything that makes this shape for you, that gets this, you know, look, is, I say use it. You know, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, I don't think. Just kind of whatever works for you.
Okay.
The idea is just to kind of have these soft overlapping circles here. All right, I think that's probably pretty close. I'll probably add a little bit of brighter white in there, but it's got it close. All right, so this is dry. So let's go ahead and come back in and glaze our wood here. This will be the fun part of the wood because this will really bring out all these details that we want. So I'm going to use my Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber and create my dark gray glaze, and using my glaze or water if you don't have glaze. Might add a little bit of burnt sienna too, just for a little warmth. Okay, there we go. So where I know I want it darkest, I'm going to start there, and I'm going to go over that area and it'll kind of just darken up that wood tone right around it. Let's go in here, kind of underneath my bird and along that crack. Just so many distractions today.
Challenge. Can you paint?
I don't know. Trying. All right. So you can see what it does. It just kind of softens off that harshness of the palette knife and blends it into our wood. Makes it look like part of the scene. I'm going to go ahead and do most of this. And then I'm going to come back in with my black and my burnt umber with very little glaze this time. And I'm just going to kind of draw some lines through. Make those cracks that we're seeing. Okay. Yeah. That looks good. And then let's go ahead and get some white, unbleached titanium, some of that burnt umber, burnt and black. And then I'm going to kind of go in and just sort of map out some more of the main areas here. Sort of connect my light areas together a little bit. Almost there. It's just going to kind of soften everything off a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to get I think I'll get this. I'll get my blender here and get some Ultramarine Blue and burnt umber and my unbleached titanium. Make that kind of soft, maybe even a little bit of white. Very soft, light gray. It's my lightest color here. I'm just going to kind of find some of my highlight areas and hit up those brightest areas with this. And this will be similar to what I did with the palette knife. I'm just kind of skimming it, trying to catch the texture of the bark. And I think with wood, it's all about kind of just adding layers. And then this last little bit, I'm just trying to kind of bring out my lightest areas and making sure that I'm leaving kind of some of these dark crevices and then having my light areas all kind of connected. Right. Okay, and then I want to come back in with my dark again and make these dark cracks connect a little bit. And then I can kind of glaze over some of that light again. So it's just back and forth of darken it up, lighten it back up, darken it up again, lighten it back up. Go back and forth until we get the balance that we want in here. Okay, I'm pretty good. All right, we'll let that set and we can come back to it and add to it later. Maybe even add a little moss or some greens and things. This is usually, you know, got other colors in here. We can add yellow, we can add more brown, whatever, you know, seems right. So, all right. So this should be dry enough that I can add one last layer to these. Get some white and some of that zinc. So titanium white and zinc white. Wipe most of it out. And I'm going to come right up next to him and add just a nice bright white, couple spots. There we go. Okay, I think that'll work. Let's get our bird going here.
Very nice.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and start with the 4 Filbert here with the to fill in our bird. And The white feathers here are pretty yellow, so I'm not going to do much to that area. Get some of that unbleached titanium, maybe some of this gray that I already was using on the tree. Add some white, but there's quite a bit of yellow there, so I'm not going to do too much to this except for just kind of try to mark out that belly area there. Oh my gosh, why is it doing that? Probably need to move it up so I can see what I'm doing. Here we go. And then down in here, I'm going to get some of the black and burnt umber. And it almost blends into the tree through here, so it's hard to see in the picture what part's the bird and what part's the tree. So I'm just going to kind of merge those two together a little bit right there. And then there's the black. Wing here. I'm kind of starting with a gray, so I'm not going too light with it, or too dark with it, I mean. At first I'll add the white and then I'll add the black back in. So this will kind of keep it from looking too... Black and white can be tricky because it can look very pasted if you're not careful, because there's so much contrast between the two that it can look really weird when you try to make patterns with the black and white. So starting with kind of a gray mid-tone and then adding the light and the dark on it will help us make it a little bit less harsh when we add our details. Hopefully. Okay, and then the white and the black here are kind of overlapping right there, so I'll wipe that out and get some more of that unbleached titanium and just pull back over that area there so we have a soft transition. All right. Doesn't have to look good right now at this point. We're just trying to get color on. Right, so don't get too caught up with all the details right now. We're not doing details yet. Just throwing on some color. Get our background. And get a little bit more of that white color. Getting it up and around the face there. Underneath the chin, up over the eye. Okay, looks good. And then I decided to go with Cadmium Red Light instead of Pyrrole Orange here because Pyrrole Orange is transparent and the Cadmium Red Light has some opacity, so it'll cover a little bit better. Plus this is closer to the exact color of the bird anyways, so I have so much water in my brush there. So getting that Cadmium Red Light, added a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta. going up over the head. Down the neck. Right about there. Okay. Pick up some of this light gray. Do a little bit of the red right here on the cheek. Just tapping it in. Get a little bit more of that unbleached titanium, and I'm just going to kind of tap along that edge of that red to can kind of see how it just sort of softens off that edge. Keeps it from looking too much of a stripe. Especially with bird feathers, there's a lot of transition between one color and another sometimes. And so you can just kind of use the two colors and tap to get them to make that transition for you look a little softer. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch to a small brush now. Let me go ahead and get my one round and some black. And so it's going to go in, it's going to kind of stop right there. It's going to go in just a little bit from where that red comes down. And then it's going to sort of do a little bit of a diagonal shape and then come back in this way right here. And then that's the sort of bottom edge of the beak. It comes down just a little bit right there. Okay, so kind of, the drawing was a little bit long right there. So there's a little bit that I might want to fix there later, but we'll see. All right, there's the eye. And usually on the birds, the eye is going to kind of, go right in line with the beak and be generally kind of right in the middle of the head. I might bring this a little bit forward here. And then there's just a little bit of a almost eyelash looking bit right there. Okay. Looks pretty close. Let's get a little bit of white. Mix that with my black to make a gray. And that'll be good to soften off around my eye. And the edge of the beak. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a highlight on the top part of the beak there. Let me see if I can make this color in my background. This will be interesting. This green, yellow oxide, burnt umber, white. Trying to make that color that's can already tell it's a little too dark. So make sure you cover up that beak a little bit more than what I did. You don't want to have to paint around it like this. I kind of left just a little bit of that beak too visible. Okay, that's better. From the drawing, I mean, you know, my drawing of the beak. All right, that looks better. I think my head's a little bit bigger than this. See, so I've got Quinacridone Magenta, and I'm going to add some burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of burnt umber. There we go. The darker red here for the back part of the head, and I'm going to go over the line a little bit with this. And then get my Cadmium Red Light and go with it. Blend them together. And then right at the very front there, I'm going to get some white in my Cadmium Yellow Light. And just like right here, there's just a really light white highlight. Just put a little bit of that right there. Come on. Yellow and white with a little bit of that red. Okay, and then I'm going to use a little bit of that right above the eye right here. And right up underneath, kind of around that eye. A little bit more yellow, get some India yellow here. There we go. Just wetting down these brushes so they don't dry out while I'm waiting to dry them. Once I've already used. Right. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing good.
Yep. So how's Chat doing today?
Chat's doing well.
I'm staying safe. Been some crazy storms lately.
Yeah, we did. No, nobody's mentioned that they had any storms where they were, so that's good.
Good.
We dodged it the other night.
Yes, we did.
That's good. We don't need to be on the news for that.
No. I love how you caveat for that.
Yeah, for winning $1 billion or something.
Yeah,
I could be on the news for that.
I see.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when the storm chasers are live streaming from your state,
Right.
not too far from you, it's not good.
You know, it's not, yeah, not a good sign. This time of year is always crazy here. Seems like March and April. I remember my grandmother, when we first moved to Arkansas from Arizona, she lived in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, California for, most of her adult life. And then we moved out here to Arkansas, and she came out, I think it was in April, right? And the drive home from the airport, we hit a storm of all storms, and I mean, I thought the car was going to lift off the
van
freeway.
was getting blown around
The van.
pretty hard.
And she was just like, "Why are you living here?"
She's white knuckling it.
She was like, "Why?" I just remember she was not happy.
We've been fortunate not to have anything hit us. The tornadoes did hit the town next to us about 10 miles from here.
Yeah. That was several years ago. All right, making a dark red. Yeah, I know. We've been very fortunate. We kind of nestled up against the mountains here, and it feels like it kind of protects us. We've got the Ozarks right here, and our little town doesn't seem to it's not got the flat land all around it like some other areas like Little Rock does. Gets these really bad storms coming through because it's just got farmland all around it, and so there's nothing to stop the momentum of the storms.
Yeah.
All right, I'm using that dark red there. Yeah, that works. Yep. Don't know if that's true or not, but it just seems like it. I'm not sure if that's scientific or not.
We'll go with that.
Right. Okay, so he's got a little red mullet here. He's southern boy.
Southern woodpecker.
How can you tell?
Business in the front.
That's right. Party in the back.
Party in the back. This is how the National Audubon describes it. The red-bellied is a good-sized woodpecker, more than 9 inches tall,
Okay.
sleek and handsome. Its back is crisply barred, zebra-like, and black and white. Its underside glows in a warm buff. The male sports a scarlet crown and nape.
Is it hot in here? That's hilarious. He's a handsome bird.
He's a handsome bird.
I like it. It's cute.
It said, why is its name the red-bellied? It said, whoever first named the species must have had a very wry sense of humor. For, on this strikingly patterned bird, the last thing you would likely notice is a slight blush of rose on its lower belly.
Wow. Down here.
Well, there is a red-headed woodpecker, so I'm
Right.
assuming that was like, well,
That was already taken.
Yeah. Well, then we'll just go with red-bellied.
True. All right, so I'm softening up around the eye, leaving that kind of a light gray. And then I'll put a little highlight in the eye, even though there's not one in our picture here. There's already kind of one sort of where I left the paint uneven there when I put my black in, so I think I'll just go kind of to one side of that. Add a little highlight there. Okay, that'll work. And then let's add a little bit more highlight to the beak. I'll need to widen out the beak too. I have it too pointing all the way down, so kind of widens out at the bottom a little bit more than I have it. There we go. And then let's give it that little line that kind of comes up towards the eye and then down. Okay, that looks good. Now I can kind of, if I need to darken up anything around the eye, I can there. I think that'll work. All right, and I might go a little bit more red right here on the cheek. Just a little bit brighter. Come on. It went on kind of watery. There we go. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I maybe put a few little marks of that darker red through to give it a little feathery texture, but pretty happy with that. Get a little bit of that dark black and come from the bottom of the beak. There's just a little darkness coming down there, and then there's kind of a crease right there. Get some of that unbleached titanium and kind of cover over that a little bit. Just leave it, but blend it in a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to get a little bit more of that light yellow, some white. This is the yellow, India yellow with the white. Okay. And just add a few little feathers of that. And I'm using this 2/0, or no, this is the one. Yeah, the 1 round here. And I'm just going to use it because it's kind of the same size as the feathers that I'm wanting to do. So I'm just able to kind of pull down, and it's creating these little feather shapes for me here. Okay, and then I need to do a little bit more of a dark gray on my belly here. So I'm going to get some of the black and some of my white and maybe some of this unbleached titanium, which was kind of the base color. And that yellow, the unbleached titanium just has a little bit of that yellow in it. It kind of keeps it from looking too blue when you make your gray with the black. So
One of your biggest fans is watching.
what? Noah. Hi, Noah. Gigi's painting a woodpecker tonight. What you doing?
She's watching you.
She doing good? All right, I'm gonna use the edge of the brush here and create some little feathers coming out. That's my granddaughter. She's gonna be an artist too someday. She's very good. She gets out her drawing and we draw together when she
She's visiting
comes
the
to
art
visit.
museum this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember? We
Oh,
got a
that's
picture
right.
of her. Their drawing.
Oh yeah, drawing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was at the art museum. I thought that was at their house.
No, they were at the Crystal Bridges.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch the context.
See, I read some things sometimes. Yeah.
That's great. I just added some little bits of white on top now. All right, let's go ahead and use this white to start our pattern in our feathers. And I'm going to kind of set it down. I think this is going to be about the right size for my feathers. It might be a little bit big, but I think it'll do a decent job. So I'm going to just set it down. Yeah, that'll work. Be kind of careful not to go too much over the edge there. I don't want it to get in my background. So if you wanted to, you could tape that off, I guess. I think this is actually going to work pretty good for my background color. I don't know that I'll have to add too much black to it. It seems to be doing pretty good. So setting that brush down so that the darkest color comes off at the tip, and then just lifting and pulling up just slightly. Just making those nice patterns for me. Yeah, the key is finding the right size brush that makes the right pattern for you. If you can find that, then half the work is done, because you can see how easy this is to get these feather patterns in here. And just picking up just a little bit of paint on the brush. I don't want a lot, because I want to be able to flick it and have it release and create those lines for me. If I have too much paint on here, it won't do that. It'll just kind of draw all the way up, and I won't get that soft fade. Yeah, that's the word. It kind of creates this pattern here. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. The ones in the back kind of come straight down, so you could maybe do those first if you wanted to. Or I'm just kind of trying to sort of do them all the way across and kind of fill in as I go. So, and they start to come up and create this upward angle, and then
Which brush is that? Did you use?
this is a for Filbert, the 6100 series.
Super simple.
Yeah, I mean,
Just practice.
you just need to have just enough water on here too. Don't want too much water, but if I don't have enough, it won't come off easily, and then I'll have to start pressing down hard, and if I do that, then I'll lose control of the size of the feathers. So just kind of keep an eye on that as you go, because your brush will start losing its water. So I just had to replenish my water there. All right, so I got about halfway up and halfway down or so, and now these are gonna start changing the shape a little bit. They start going down right here. And overlapping downward. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to change my brush once I get these last few on here, because the shape of the feathers is changing, and so I need to change my brush. Get these last few little line looking ones done, and then I need to do a more triangular head feathers. So I'm gonna use this brush and see what I can do. I might have to use my angle. We'll see. See if I can get it with this round. So I'll use it sort of. I end up with blue all over it. Kind of on its side and pull up like that. Okay, that's working. So make a flat edge and then sort of a triangular shape. Okay, and then there's some that are okay, getting there, and then there's a whole section of them that are sort of just almost like lines. Okay, like that. All right, and then there's some feathers coming down here. And then I'm going to get my black and come through with the black and add some of the black feathers that are in through there. And then I'm going to darken up in between some of these feathers in here. Just come in through and maybe just right up underneath the darkest part where the solid line is. Okay. I'm going to kind of soften some of that off because it was a little bit harsh. All right. Did you get the idea? Just kind of. You can always go back in and add more of the light color on top. It might like brighten up some of the feathers in the white. Now that they're there, we can use the brightest white and just say, you know, go in here and maybe add a little bit of brighter white to just a few of the areas to shine them up a little bit. Some of them are a little bit more noticeable than others. Just kind of helps make it look realistic. Also go right up against that edge there so that yeah, so that it looks like it's wrapping around the side of the bird instead of pasted on in front. All right. Let's give him a leg. So somewhere in here, I think about halfway up or so. There's the leg. Get some white in my black. And it's going up and then coming over. And then down there. I'm going to get some of the black and just dab over the top a little bit. It blends into the picture, so we don't have to do any more than what we're seeing. I'm going to give it a claw and give it a bit of a shadow. Maybe a little bit of white highlight on the top here where I'm seeing. Right, like that. And you might get a little bit of my darkish, my black and some glaze. Now that's dry. I'm just gonna kind of glaze in some shadow there. Do it with the, you know, feathery texture so it can kind of blend in, and then I might do a little bit on the back.
Looks like a woodpecker.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close to where we want to be. Get a little bit more of that black. Put a little bit more of a obvious tail feather there. But shadowing on the wood there, just a little bit to help blend them in, but I think we're pretty close to being done. You can always go back in and add more detail to your wood if you decide you want more, or a little bit more of that bokeh effect. I might add a little bit more blue maybe. What I can do is, now that it's there, I can just change the color. I don't have to redo it, so I could go through here with a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue and some glaze, and glaze over some of that. Add a little bit more blue, maybe up here too. Maybe there's some more blue up here. Or you could do yellow. We could add yellow tones to the wood. Might add a little bit of blue in my tree. I always like to add a little bit of green to my tree too. We can maybe use the cobalt teal instead, since we're kind of, well, no, we got a little bit of green left. Maybe a little bit of the burnt sienna with my green so that it looks sort of mossy. Think about where we might want to. Plus, that'll kind of tie in the wood too. I don't have to make it super green, but having just a little bit of that green in our wood tones sort of helps tie our tree into the background. Unifies the whole look of everything. Might add a little bit of green in my bird too. Just down in my shadow right there. Because your whites are going to pick up the colors around them, so if you've got a color in your background, chances are your white might pick it up a little bit. And if we want to add a little, it said there was a little bit of a red in the belly, so
Well, it looks like it's the kind of that orangey
yeah,
color you see through its feathers.
right, yeah,
its
just
sheds.
adding a little bit of that down there. Okay, there we go. I think we're done. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That wasn't too bad. That was a year. That actually was faster than I thought it was going to be.
You killed
We
it.
blew through that. Well, I was worried about that background taking a while, but it came together pretty quick. So
Well, can you do last week's video in like 35 minutes?
I don't think
Bang that
so.
one out?
No,
No?
that rock. Yeah, those rocks were going to take a while.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But we'll be painting that on in April. April Fool's Day, actually. So,
Oh.
or will we?
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
You'll just have to find out.
We needed to do another mystery painting.
We do.
had fun with
That
that.
that would have been a fun one to do, the mystery painting to do. But I rescheduled it already. So. But yeah, we'll be doing that. Next week we'll be doing the desert landscape. Did not get, I was hoping to get some pictures from Phoenix, but we pretty much just went to and from the airport, so we didn't get to get out and about much
We
on
just
our
hung
trip.
at the house, and the weather was beautiful.
We did. We were there to see family. I'll do show you what I painted though, and I think we might paint at least one of these things that I painted from my aunt's back porch when we're in Phoenix. So this is my little travel book, by the way. If this is a book plate that I got in York, it says, "Whomsoever harmed this book, may they be plagued by rabbits drowned in vinegar." Rabbits and drowned in vinegar. Sorry, not rabbits drowned in vinegar. Yeah, very clear distinction there. Sorry. So this was our trip to England. Took a bunch of. We've actually painted a few of these. That one with the two trees we did as a bonus video, or a challenge video. Painted that one with you guys. But we. And then there's the one from Orlando, our Orlando trip. So that was a palm tree in the backyard, obviously. And then this was part of my aunt's garden she's got. She had this little bicycle, really, really cute. And I took lots of photos of it. So I think we might paint this together. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see it as a watercolor, if you want to paint it in acrylics. The watercolor came together pretty quick, I've been really enjoying, and I've been playing with my watercolors more just at home. They're great for my trips because I can do them, obviously outside in Phoenix. It was too dry to paint with acrylics outside. There's no way, they dry so quickly. Even with watercolors, they dried pretty fast. But it's nice to be able to be outside and paint. I really have enjoyed it, and I'm learning more and more about watercolors the more I use them. and getting a little bit more comfortable with them. So I feel like I could probably do a tutorial, even if it wouldn't be, the most, I don't know,
Advanced work.
Right. It's not going to be an advanced work because I'm not there. But anyhow, I could do pen and ink with watercolor. That's pretty easy. When you draw something and then just kind of colored in with watercolors, that's pretty much my style right now. That's my level when it comes to watercolors. And more mixed media, so you can use pencil or a pen and like come back in with a white pen to, make your marks if you cover your white areas up too much and that kind of thing. But anyhow, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see this one in watercolor, because I think it would be really fun to do. Also been working on a little bunny in watercolor. That I want to put some flowers around. So we could maybe do that in April too. So anyhow, I don't know. We'll see. Just let me know yay or nay on watercolor, or if you just absolutely hate watercolor and want to stay with acrylics only forever and ever. Amen. That's okay too. So but I would like to branch out a little bit, maybe, try something new. It's always fun for me as an artist when I've been painting with acrylics for 30 plus years to try something new, be a little bit of a beginner at something is a little bit, it's new. It's like, whoa, this is hard. Yeah, fun's not always the word, but it is fun. No, it is fun learning something new, and it does challenge you, and it's good for you. It's good for yourself to challenge yourself and break out of your comfort zone from time to time artistically, because that keeps you from getting too complacent and stale and bored with your art. Can be easy to.
Well, Chad is overwhelmingly saying a tank in watercolor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I'm saying watercolor tank.
Tanks. We need more tanks. Watercolors. Tanks. Any medium for tanks. Oils, pen and ink, mixed media.
I doubt very highly they're saying tanks.
Just don't read the comments. Just trust me. That's
Okay, just trust you.
Yeah, it's trending right now.
All right. All right, guys. Well, that you have spoken. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm gonna have to start a new channel for you, hun, and just be like all tanks. This is for Mark.
Thanks for watching.
Just so that tanks. Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much.
No. Oh no. All right, I just noticed that I didn't do these feathers that are kind of coming up over right here. So I'm gonna just try to get some of these little feathers right here. There we go. Okay, I'm done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us on another Tuesday night. It's been years and years of doing these shows with you guys, and we love it. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us and being part of our Thankful Art family. So,
That's awesome.
yep, you're awesome. If you want to support us on Patreon, we've got traceables available. We're working on a new project starting out, coming up. We'll start painting on it. Last time we met, we did the design for it, and so I showed how to draw on the tablet and how to change up an idea and make it better and compose an image using multiple parts. And so we drew that all up, made a plan, and now we're going to execute it starting up this week. So that'll be fun. And I have over 150 different challenge and bonus tutorials from years past that are also included with that $15 tier. It also includes all of my huge traceable library, every 1,000 paintings that we've done here on YouTube for free. Most of them have traceables. All of them have traceables after 2017. So the last several years all have traceables. Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of traceables all available. So there's a $5 tier for just traceables and old bonus videos, and then the $15 tier for the new challenge tutorial that we work on together every Thursday. So love for you to join us for that. And if you just want the free stuff, we got plenty of that here on our channel, so check those out. We'd love to have you paint along, and you can share those with me down in the description. There's links to all my social media where you can share if you're painting along. I'd love to see them. And also links to buy if you're in the mood for some art supplies. There's all the stuff that I use is linked down in the description of
Great
the
gift
video.
for Easter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stuff your Easter basket.
No, let me know what you want to paint for Easter in the description too, because I'm going to be working on my... It's amazing. March is almost over. My birthday's this weekend, so yay. I'm going to get to go see my kids. I'm really excited. Get some cake. Yay. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and some pizza.
And pizza, and some good pizza, yes. So, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.